There are over 20 massive changes coming to Cyberpunk. The following is a full guide of everything you need to know with the upcoming update and release of Phantom Liberty. First, we'll go into the baseline changes coming to Cyberpunk 2077. These are going to be available regardless of whether or not you buy the DLC. Then we'll do a deep dive on all things Phantom Liberty. My name is Guki.
And I'm Senis.
Welcome to the ultimate guide on everything coming to Cyberpunk.
The 2.0 update coming to Cyberpunk will release 5 days prior to Phantom Liberty, which is set to come out September 26 on all major next-gen platforms. CD Projekt Red stopped supporting Cyberpunk on last gen, with the 1.6 update being the final release for those systems. Starting off with some general information on the 2.0 update, which again will be available regardless if you decide to purchase the Phantom Liberty DLC or not. DLSS 3.5, the next level of DLSS. Level cap increase from 50 to 60. Car combat, more traffic. Police AI overhaul. Max TAC visual overhaul. Key boss fights are going to be adjusted. Important character models improved with better facial details. New weapons sprinkled throughout the main missions. Plenty of major bugs addressed and fixed. The healing item is now infinite but on a cooldown. Grenades are infinite but also on a cooldown. New cyberware additions. And the download will be, depending on your platform, around 80 gigs total, with approximately 32 gigs for DLC. Lastly, the devs released a Cyberpunk build planner that is available now for browsers. Check it out in the links below. This planner is simple. It mirrors the future perk tree in-game, and you can use this to plug and play different builds and dial in your playstyle preferences. Diving into some of the additions, as I mentioned before, let's talk about car combat. Cars will have several combat options. You can now shoot out of vehicles, get vehicles with mounted turrets and missiles, and even hack other vehicles if you have the right perks. You cannot customize vehicles. They will come pre-equipped with certain combat features, and only a few of the base game vehicles will have these included. Though if you purchase the DLC, you'll have access to a wider variety of combat vehicles. You are now able to use melee weapons on bikes. It was also mentioned that you can precision shoot gas tanks and shoot tires or slash them with certain melee weapons. Police system revamp. They added a police heat system which is comparable to GTA. The new system is simple yet effective. They show up at a scene, and if you are still there, they start attacking. If you're in a car or bike, they will employ vehicular tactics to run you off the road or even hack your vehicle to disable it. The more heat you have, the more aggressive the police will be. If you happen to reach the highest level of stars, Max TAC will be deployed. There are 5 different archetypes of Max TAC. 4 random archetypes will spawn out of the 5 available and fight you. The difficulty you play in is irrelevant when Max TAC comes out, because by default they are a challenge. Getting away from the cops is dynamic and unique to each situation. When you have 1, 2, or 3 stars, it's easier to maneuver through and get away. Visuals have been added like a radar, which have red circles and cones of visions for a better visualization of your heat status. The police will be toned down appropriately for when you are in quest areas, meaning it's easier to get away for the purpose of story continuation. How hard or easy it is to get a star varies by funding in the district you find yourself in, due to it being politically influenced, you know, like real life. They also added more random dynamic interactions between gangs, agents, and police within the base game, which the devs described as a living, breathing world. Overall gameplay changes. Everyone can reset their attributes, though only once post-update. Perk points can now be changed on the fly outside of combat. Perks are revamped so they hold more weight in the gameplay depending on the way you want to play. There are less overall perks, but the ones added are more impactful, with an emphasis on perks giving you an action or ability rather than just being passive. When comparing the showcase of the new tree versus what we have now prior to the update, we noticed a few things. There's more structure to the perks. Rather than being spread out, they actually have perk paths and trees. Mastery levels flesh out old systems that give you more ways to engage with each of the perk paths.
Now let's get into the nitty-gritties of Phantom Liberty. Cyberpunk's newest expansion costs $30. You get a brand new contained story integrated into an already existing world, meaning this new experience can be played simultaneously with the main story. If you're starting a brand new character, you can skip ahead to Phantom Liberty in the character creation screen. If you're continuing a game, Phantom Liberty becomes available after meeting Bridget in the main story. We got some background lore for the story released in the latest cinematic trailer, where we get to meet 2 important characters whom I'll cover later in the video. The story starts off shortly after the president of New United States crash lands into a newly available district called Dogtown. From here, we get contacted by a netrunner to extract the president to safety. A new district is introduced with this expansion that allows players to explore previously unavailable areas within Pacific. Although it's technically geographically attached to Pacifica, it's a completely new experience. Once meant to be a place of luxury, Dogtown is essentially corrupted into a post-apocalyptic wasteland, described as a decaying dystopian world due to the war. Parts of the district are heavily inspired by Las Vegas, including areas that have casinos, spas, and hotels. Although militaristic in its setting and aesthetics, many of the residents in this new district are there to avoid law enforcement and have criminal backgrounds. Landmarks were a big emphasis when describing new areas. Added for ease of navigation are small cues like cables, colors, lights, and distinguishable buildings for exploration incentives. A new story arc is introduced with Johnny and Dogtown. It's also implemented within the base game. And as a cool little bonus, V gets a new apartment. Lastly, if you do not buy the DLC, you can't enter Dogtown, but you can still see the gate and outskirts of the area. Characters. Dogtown has been taken over by an ex-military special forces operative named Kurt Hansen. Hansen is the leader of the Bargist faction. His military background doesn't mean he just acts in violence, as Hansen's keen intellect and strategic prowess make him a formidable rival to his enemies. He acts as the big scary bad guy in this story. Rosaline Myers, president of New United States, crash lands in Dogtown and Kurt wants to kill her. Or capture her? It's one of the two. You're hired to essentially get her out safely, with the incentive of getting a cure for the thing that's in your head. Songbird. Top dog night runner in the New United States, working directly underneath the president. Very powerful and skilled, reaches out to you to get the president out of the city. You find out she has a history with Solomon Reed, which she betrays and leaves to die in the cinematic trailer. Solomon Reed. Sleeper agent, complicated past with Songbird, badass agent instrumental in the war that took place in Dogtown. He plays a big part in the new story, and also, it's Idris fucking Elba. Everyone has their own agenda. It's up to the player to try to figure out how to react and who to trust through this new story. There will be no new romance options. The devs added that it didn't go with the rhythm and flow of the new story being told. Let's get into some of the gameplay additions. As Stennis mentioned before, there will be hundreds of new apparel, vehicle, and weapon options available with the purchase of Phantom Liberty. In addition to this, there's a new skill tree available for cyberware enhancements. Shortly after starting the quest within Phantom Liberty, Songbird will unlock a new skill tree called the Relic Tree. You'll have to find Militech data in terminals hidden throughout Dogtown to get more points for these cyberware enhancements within the Relic Tree. These data terminals are not marked within the map at all. They're found through exploring Dogtown. Although there will be no waypoint or indicator on the map, expect different styles of visual and audio cues to lead to these terminals. Each piece of cyberware will have a unique enhancement option varying on playstyle and cyberware preferences. Vehicle gigs are the new type of mission added within this expansion. You get an introductory quest from Muammar el Capitan Reyes. Through these quests, you can unlock different types of combat vehicles. We mentioned these when talking about vehicle combat earlier in the video, but of course with the purchase of this expansion brings a wider variety of choices. These vehicle gigs also bring a new background story into the mix. Objectives and enemies are dynamic. Some are all-out combat, others are timed, some are in different locations, while others require stealth.
Swag is available with the new update if you sign up for My Rewards on cyberpunk.net. Links in the description. Get even more goodies with the purchase of the Phantom Liberty DLC. Since we're talking about loot, our sponsor Loot Energy is a fantastic, healthy option for an energy drink. Just because you're not gaming doesn't mean you don't need loot. Use the code IT'sGoohey on their website linked below for 10% off your next purchase.
Thanks so much for watching. Like the video if we filled your brain hole with all things Phantom Liberty. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos from us here at the Goo Crew. Bye!
Bye.